And that's what we started off with today. The theme today, blowing out all the crap. The crap of the year, the crap of the decade. And hopefully the crap in my lungs right now, because I'm stuffed up like a Barbados Mega saxophone right now. But yeah, focus the energy on a new decade, new numbers. And with the cast of Jersey Shore presiding over Times Square New Year's Eve for the ceremonies, it can only mean an end. It sort of has to get better. You know what I'm saying? And freedom, the theme of today, and we're going to be featuring the sounds of a quite wonderful label of free music from a label owner that kind of roams around the world with no home. His name's Scott Nydegger, and his Radon Collective, Radon label, celebrating their decade today. And they're actually going to take a decade off. How about that? So we're going to celebrate some retirement, some anniversaries, and hopefully renewal, which is the theme once again. And Radon has had a few guests here on the show in the past. Steve McKay and who else has played? I believe Rippett's been here, and Sikhara here on the show once. And today we're going to be carrying a very special kind of event, kind of a free jam between various members of the Radon Collective. That's coming up in about an hour. We're going to be hearing from Sikhara and United Scum Sound Clash, and from Portugal, HYY and the drums of Habnom. And we'll hear all about who exactly they are and what kind of sounds they get up to, and a little history of the Radon label, studio, and ongoing project with Scott Nydegger. So that's coming up around 4:30. Hope you stick around for it. My name is Brian. And you can follow along with the bouncing ball, but feel free to ask questions if you have comments or inquiries about where to find stuff or what the hell's going on. Hope you all have a good New Year. We're going to get back into the sounds. All here on WFMU. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brian with you until 6 o'clock p.m. on this Tuesday afternoon, right before New Year's, last show of the decade. Rock and roll. All right, coming up, don't forget, around 4:30, we've got some music from the Radon Collective, recorded at Seizures Palace over there in Brooklyn, down at the bottom of Park Slope. And this is a pretty great jam of sorts coming up with Sikhara and HYY and the drums of Habnom and United Scum Sound Clash. Might have to throw some stuff on beforehand as well, but we're going to have a little retrospective of the Radon label and a talk with Scott Nydegger and some live music. So stick around. That's coming up around 4:30 p.m. And my voice seems to be steady as it goes, but who knows for how long. I feel the phlegm gurgling beneath, so we're going to spare you that and get back into music on WFM Phlegm. All right, WFMU, and we just heard a extravaganza of kind of a multiple roster lineup of a sort of Radon ensemble, loosely with friends, we'll say, Radon and friends. We had Sikhara starting off the set, who've been here on the show 2 times already. HYY and drums of Habnom joined in somewhere in the Malay, and then it's kind of morphed into United Scum Sound Clash set, who are been faves here on WFMU. And we're sitting here right now with Scott Nydegger of the Radon label and Jonathan Saldanha, who's also visiting from Portugal and played in some of that set, United Scum Sound Clash, and also runs the Supa Collective label. Hello, guys. How's it going?
Hello.
Nice to have you back. Get right into the mic there, I think. You need
and just to kind of clarify that whole mess that just went on, it's mostly based upon the tour that we've just finished. The opening part was by Sikhara, and then the project of Supa, the Portuguese guys, would be HYY, and the drums of Habnam. So we kind of did a little bit of Sikhara, a little bit of them, and then we joined into our sort of Voltron supergroup mode where we all connect together.
Hail Voltron.
Bringing along for the ride Vinny, Paternostro, Sam Lohman, Dan Kaufman, Jason LaFarge.
And we want to say an extra special thanks to Jason LaFarge from the Seizures Palace recording complex deep in the vaults of downtown Brooklyn alongside the Gowanus Canal, where these recordings are emanating from. So thanks to him. Basically, I mean, a lot of listeners here already know the whole kind of Radon Collective and label, which has been going on for 10 years now. This is the 10th anniversary. Kind of just never stays place in one spot and just traverses the world. Scott Nydegger, who's kind of the mainstay and runs the day-to-day business of the label, has brought a lot of people around, including Steve McKay, and Sikhara has been here at the station. And then some local folks like Vinny Paternostro, Sam Lohman have popped in assorted ensembles. You know, this is a label that remains relatively under the radar, but in a very good way. I mean, you've brought forth so much music from around the world, but never quite settled down in one spot long enough to really, really drive the point home, which is what we really want to do on WFMU, because it's such a great label.
I think also it's because it's kind of unspecified activity. The name is just kind of all-encompassing and could be any of us. And although we don't have any set home, we have many homes, which is the way that it's made it possible for us to have so much activity with people from in Paris. We've worked with so many Italian people, and then in Portugal was one of the places I settled down the most. Pretty much everybody from the collective came through there and was a part of something. Mm-hmm. And it's just if we were just a label, it would be easier to make the mark. But it's a events promotion and studio production, and it's just an ever-changing beast.
And one other great thing is that, you know, when Scott gets a project going, like for instance, he was sort of the guy who brought Zev over, who played here on the show a couple years back, and really just sort of took him to every nook and cranny of the United States, places he'd never really played before. You got to really just give Zev a workout.
And that was coming right on the back of Jean-Louis Coste, who is the same thing. 2 months with one and then 2 months of the other. And also we managed to introduce Steve to quite a wider variety of audience than Steve just the kind of record nerds that might be listening to him otherwise. And that was also the idea behind doing this. Jonathan has already been in the U.S. and he toured with Ovo, another one of the bands that I've set up tours for. Mm-hmm. And but now with him and Gustavo and this project here in the drums of Habnam, I was trying to introduce them to some interesting places across the country. It was a short time and scattered through the Midwest and out to the East Coast, and we really kind of did a variety of everything. We played with some of Steve McKay's cronies from the Violent Femmes in Milwaukee. We had a gallery show in Omaha and Minneapolis. It was something like a punk squat but American style. That's an important thing, trying to put all of these pieces together, because a lot of things come from that. A lot of projects that may have had their origin in Radon aren't doing anything with us specifically, but they met together, and that's always been the idea with Radon. It's just about putting people together. It's not about making a label or making a name for ourselves or anything. It's just an ease of communication. Yeah.
Well, I'll say as an aside that the Jean-Louis Costes tour is probably an interview within itself, just from what I've heard. But
I think just catch the recap on the Fox News website.
Yeah, there was lots of Fox News reports on that tour. But, you know, it also comes from a very interesting point of view of even almost like a pre-internet angle where, you know, a path is being carved through word of mouth. You know, you're playing all these cities and bringing some really just out there performances in. And, you know, even though it may be small audiences or whatever, I think you're really making a kind of huge impression, and people are taking away a lot of things just by having the chance to see this kind of music. So in that aspect, it's just I think it's one of the best, experimental music labels out there for just the sheer community factor of it.